I'm Elena Hartwell. I'm 28. 3 days ago, my mother called me. Her voice was calm, almost polite, like she was canceling a lunch reservation. Elena, we think it's best if you don't come to New Year's Eve this year. The house will be full of clients and investors. It's important for Ethan's work. You understand. She didn't wait for me to answer. She just hung up. So on the 31st of December 2025, I sat alone in my tiny apartment in Boston. The kind of place where the kitchen is basically in the living room. I had a small fake tree in the corner with lights from Target, and I watched fireworks explode over the Charles River through my window. Strangers laughing, kissing, counting down. I wasn't invited to any of it. Not by them. At exactly 12:01 a.m., January 1st, 2026, my phone lit up. Ethan. His voice was shaking so hard I almost didn't recognize it. Elena, what did you do? Dad just saw the news. He's not breathing right. Mom's screaming. What the hell did you do? The news he was talking about? My company, Quantum Pulse, Inc., had just gone public at midnight. Valuation, $1.8 billion. I was one of the youngest female tech billionaires in the country. But that wasn't the part that made my brother panic. It was the Forbes interview that dropped at the exact same moment. 3 years of emails, patents, and a secret recording I made in one of their conference rooms. Proof that my brother tried to steal the algorithm I spent my entire adult life building. Before I take you back to how it all started. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been told your dreams were just a phase, drop a like and subscribe. Because this story is for you. Let me take you back a little, to the family I grew up in. The Hartwells weren't just wealthy. We were legacy wealthy. Old money from Greenwich, Connecticut, the kind that comes with a 50-year-old medical device company. A mansion that looks like it belongs in a magazine. And the unspoken rule that you'd better know how to behave at a charity gala before you're old enough to drive. My brother Ethan was the golden child. 6 years older than me. Tall, charming, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make everyone feel like they were the most important person there. He wore custom suits like they were sweatpants. He played golf with investors on weekends. He was groomed from day one to take over Hartwell Medical. My parents looked at him like he was the future of everything we'd built. And then there was me. I was the one who loved code more than cocktail parties. I got into MIT for computer science. Top of my class. My parents smiled for the acceptance photos. But I overheard my mom on the phone with a friend. It's just a phase. She'll grow out of it and do something more practical. When I graduated, they didn't come to the ceremony. They were at Ethan's charity golf tournament. Networking is important for the business. Sweetie, Mom said, you understand. I understood. I understood when Ethan got the penthouse in Back Bay and I moved into a shared studio in Cambridge with 2 roommates. I understood when family dinners turned into strategy meetings about quarterly reports. And I sat quietly pushing food around my plate while they talked about Ethan's latest deal. I understood when my father introduced Ethan to business partners as the future of Hartwell Medical, and introduced me as our daughter who does computers. In my family, charm was worth more than brilliance. Tradition was worth more than innovation. And I was worth less than Ethan. I just didn't know how much less until everything started to unravel. I guess it really started in early 2023. I was still at MIT, wrapping up my master's, when my 2 co-founders and I built something we knew was special. We called it Quantum Pulse, an algorithm that could scan medical images faster and more accurately than anything out there. Early detection for cancers, neurological diseases, things that usually kill people before doctors even know what they're looking for. We filed the patent in March 2023. Every line of code, every iteration, time-stamped and legally mine. I didn't think I'd ever need it. I just wanted to be safe. Then my mom called one afternoon. Elena, we need to talk about Ethan. Her voice had that edge, the one that meant this wasn't optional. Hartwell Medical is having a rough quarter. Your brother is under a lot of pressure. The family needs you to help. I tried to explain. I told her my startup was at a fragile stage. Investor meetings were lined up. Beta testing was months away. She laughed, actually laughed, like I'd told a joke. Startup? Elena, startups are for people who have nothing to lose. You have a legacy. You have a family business that's been around for 50 years. Ethan needs support, And you're sitting in that little apartment playing with computers. The message was clear. My work was a hobby. Ethan's was real. I'd learned one thing at MIT that my mother never understood: protect your intellectual property before someone else claims it. So before I agreed to anything, I met with a lawyer in Cambridge who specialized in tech IP. We sat at a little bakery near campus, my laptop open between us. "If anyone tries to take your work," he said, sliding the patent papers across the table, "we'll have a trail so solid even the best lawyers can't break it." I filed everything, insurance. And then I did what family expected. I agreed to consult for Ethan. I drove down to Hartwell Medical Headquarters in Stamford. Glass building, our name in steel letters above the door. Ethan's office was on the top floor, corner view. Walls covered in awards, a black and white photo of our grandfather. He hugged me like we were close. We weren't. "Thanks for coming, Elena. This means everything." I explained some basic concepts about integrating AI into diagnostics. Not the core algorithm. I wasn't naive. Just enough to show the potential. He took notes, nodding like it was the best idea he'd ever heard. "This is exactly what we need. Investors are going to love it." 2 weeks later, he invited me to a pitch meeting with a VC firm from Boston. I sat in the back of the conference room, walnut table, leather chairs, windows overlooking the sound. Ethan clicked through a slide deck I'd never seen. "Hartwell Medical is pioneering AI-driven diagnostics," he said. "We're positioned to revolutionize early detection." One investor glanced at me. "And you are?" Ethan didn't miss a beat. "That's my sister Elena. She's been helping with some of the technical research." Helping. Like I was his assistant. After the meeting, he handed me a document. "Just a standard NDA," he said, "to protect the family business. You understand." I read it. Non-disclosure covering all proprietary info related to Hartwell Medical. "This protects me too, right?" I asked. "Of course." He smiled. "We're family. We protect each other." I signed it. Because I still believed family meant something. Thanksgiving 2024. The dining room at my parents' house looked like a perfect magazine spread. Long table, grandmother's china, crystal glasses catching the chandelier light, white roses down the center. 12 guests, business partners, family friends, people who mattered to the company. My mother seated me at the far end, next to one of my father's golf buddies' wife, who talked the entire appetizer about her Pilates instructor. When the main course came out, turkey on a silver platter, Mom stood up to make introductions. "Most of you know my son Ethan," she said, beaming, "CEO of Hartwell Medical. We're so proud of what he's building. He just closed a major partnership with a hospital network." Applause. Ethan raised his glass with that humble smile he'd perfected. "And this is our daughter, Elena." Her voice shifted, still pleasant, but cooler. "Elena works in technology. She's very bright, but she's not much for socializing." A few polite smiles. One guest, an older man in a blazer, leaned forward. "Technology? What kind?" I opened my mouth, but Ethan jumped in. "Elena's still figuring out her path," he said, laughing lightly. "She's brilliant with computers, but not great with people." The table laughed. Polite, dismissive laughter. I felt my face burn. I stared at my plate. At the perfectly carved turkey I suddenly couldn't eat. After dinner, Mom pulled me into the kitchen. "Elena, I know you don't mean to, but you make people uncomfortable. You barely said a word. Could you try to be more warm?" I didn't get a chance to. I said quietly, "I'm not criticizing, sweetheart, I'm helping." I left before dessert. June 2025. Ethan called me into his office. "Emergency meeting," he said. I drove down on a Tuesday morning. His assistant waved me through like I was a regular. He was standing at the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the water. When I walked in, his face was tense. "We need the full algorithm, Elena." I blinked. "What?" "The AI diagnostic tool you've been working on. We need it for Hartwell Medical. Investors are pulling back. This could save the company." "Ethan, that's not Hartwell's work. That's my startup." He laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Your startup? Elena, you've been consulting for us. You signed an NDA. Everything you've worked on in relation to our business belongs to the company." "That's not how NDAs work." "Don't tell me how they work," he snapped. I'm trying to save our family's legacy. Don't you care about that? Before I could answer, the door opened. Mom walked in, heels clicking on the hardwood. She sat down, crossed her legs. Your brother is right, she said. You signed an agreement. You have a legal obligation. The NDA covers Hartwell proprietary information. I said slowly. It doesn't cover my personal projects. Personal projects you developed while consulting for us. Ethan shot back. That's a conflict of interest. Mom's expression was ice. Elena, don't make this a legal issue. Family doesn't sue family. Give Ethan the algorithm and we can all move forward. I looked between them, my brother, my mother, both staring at me like I was the problem. No, I said. Ethan's face flushed. Careful, Elena, you don't want to make this ugly. I left. But not before I pressed the voice memo button on my phone in my pocket. Massachusetts is a one-party consent state. After that meeting, the invitations stopped. No dramatic disinvite, just the weekly emails from Mom's assistant suddenly ended. I saw Ethan's Instagram instead. Photos of family gatherings I wasn't in. Great night with the family. The caption said, my parents, Ethan, his girlfriend, even distant cousins. I wasn't in any of them. My MIT friends started noticing. Everything okay with your family? One asked over coffee. You haven't mentioned them in months. What was I supposed to say? That I'd been erased? That I was being punished for refusing to hand over 3 years of my work? I tried calling Dad once. He sounded distracted. Dad, what's going on? Why am I not being invited anymore? He sighed. Your mother and Ethan are under a lot of stress. The company is struggling. Maybe it's better if you give everyone some space. Space from what? I haven't done anything. You refused to help your brother after everything this family has given you. I felt something crack inside. You didn't come to my graduation. You never asked about my work. What exactly have you given me? Silence. Then, when you're ready to apologize to your mother and Ethan, let us know. He hung up. I sat in my car outside MIT, watching students walk by with backpacks and coffee. And I realized something. I'd been erased, not by strangers, by the people who were supposed to love me. That summer and fall of 2025, the silence grew louder. No more weekly dinner invites. No holiday cards, just nothing. I'd refresh Instagram and see Ethan's stories, the whole family at the house for Labor Day. Everyone smiling in the pool. My parents, Ethan, his girlfriend, even cousins I barely knew. I wasn't in any of them. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse than that. It was like I'd never existed. December 20th, 2025, my mom called. I almost didn't answer. Elena, I wanted to let you know that Christmas this year is going to be family only. I waited. She continued, voice smooth. It's a business-heavy holiday. Clients will be there. We need the atmosphere to be positive. And, you're angry. We can all feel it. You're uninviting me from Christmas. I said. I'm giving you an out. You hate these gatherings anyway. Isn't it better to skip it? I laughed, short, bitter. Mom, I haven't seen you in 6 months. How would you know what my energy is? I'm trying to protect you, she said. And she almost sounded like she believed it. I hung up. I sat in my apartment, looking at the tiny Christmas tree I'd bought, the lights I'd strung across the window, the empty space where family was supposed to be. Then the email came, from Forbes. Miss Hartwell, we understand Quantum Pulse is preparing to go public in Q4 2025. We'd like to feature you in our 30 Under 30 series and cover the IPO announcement. We're particularly interested in your journey as a female founder in AI. I read it 3 times. Then I replied, yes, and I have a story you're going to want to hear. December 28th, 2025, Mom called again. Elena, about New Year's Eve, Ethan is hosting at the house. Investors, potential partners, some important people from Boston Medical. It's essentially a business event. Okay. So I wanted to make sure we're clear. This isn't a family party. It's professional. You understand what I'm saying? You don't want me there. I don't want anyone there who's going to create tension. Ethan's under enormous pressure. His career depends on these relationships. If you showed up and said something? She trailed off. Don't come, Elena, for everyone's sake, just stay away. Don't worry, I said, I will. I stood in my kitchen, barely room for one person, and looked at my calendar. December 31st, empty. No plans, no invitations, no family. I thought about calling friends, but they all had parties, dinners, trips, normal people doing normal things with people who wanted them around. I opened my laptop instead. The Forbes interview was scheduled to go live at midnight on January 1st, 2026. The writer had spent weeks verifying everything: patent documents, email chains, the recording from Ethan's office, testimony from my MIT professor who'd watched me build the algorithm from scratch. My lawyer had reviewed every word. "You're legally protected," he said. "The NDA doesn't cover your personal IP. They can't touch you." The article was ready. TechCrunch had a companion piece queued. My IPO announcement was set. All I had to do was let it happen. I looked at the clock, December 28th, 9:47 p.m. 3 days until my family's perfect New Year's Eve party. 3 days until the truth went public. I said one word out loud to my empty apartment. Good. New Year's Eve, 2025. I spent the evening alone in my apartment. No party, no champagne, just me, the couch, and my laptop open to Instagram. I clicked on Ethan's story. The mansion was lit up like a resort, white lights wrapped around every column. String quartet playing in the foyer. People in cocktail dresses holding champagne flutes, laughing. My mother in a black gown, holding court. My father in a tuxedo, shaking hands with men in expensive watches. Ethan at the center, confident and charming, toasting with someone I recognized from the business pages, a hospital CEO. Probably, or a major investor. No one noticed I wasn't there. No one asked. I refreshed the feed. Fireworks started popping outside my window, strangers in the park counting down. Couples kissing, groups of friends cheering. I felt alone, not just physically, but like I didn't belong anywhere. I opened the Forbes tab. The article was staged and ready. Publish time: 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6 minutes away. I scrolled through the draft one last time. Quantum Pulse, Inc. goes public at $1.8 billion valuation. Founder Elena Hartwell reveals family betrayal. Email evidence shows brother attempted IP theft. Screenshots, timestamps, the recording transcribed and verified. My professor's statement: I can confirm Elena developed this algorithm independently during her graduate work and private research. My lawyer's analysis: the NDA pertains only to Hartwell Medical's existing proprietary information. It does not extend to her independent work. My cursor hovered. The countdown started on TV. 10, 9, 8. I looked at my phone. Ethan's story updated, everyone raising their glasses. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks exploded outside. I hit refresh on Forbes. The article went live. My face appeared on the homepage. Professional photo, serious expression. Headline in bold: Quantum Pulse goes public at $1.8 billion. Founder reveals family betrayal. TechCrunch notification hit my phone seconds later. MIT grad becomes youngest female AI billionaire. Accuses brother of IP theft. Twitter exploded. I watched the notifications pile up. #Quantum Pulse trending. The TV showed crowds in Times Square. Confetti falling, people crying and celebrating. My phone was silent for exactly 60 seconds. Then it started. Texts, emails, numbers I didn't recognize, journalists, old colleagues, MIT friends I hadn't spoken to in years. My inbox crashed and reloaded. Forbes writer: it's live. Prepare yourself. My lawyer: you're legally clear. Don't respond without me. My professor: Elena, I'm so proud. Call if you need anything. I sat in the dark, hands shaking, thinking about my family 2 hours away. About the moment someone at that party would check their phone. About the champagne stopping mid-toast. About the laughter turning to silence. Then my phone rang. Ethan, 12:01 a.m. I picked up. Hello, Ethan. Elena. His voice was shaking. Behind him, chaos, raised voices, someone crying, glass clinking. What did you do? Dad just saw the news and he's not breathing right. Mom's screaming. What the hell did you do? I kept my voice steady. I went public. My company. My work. Your company? He was shouting now. You signed an NDA. You can't just. This is defamation. This is. Mom's voice in the background. Is that her? Give me the phone. You put our private conversations in Forbes. Ethan said, you recorded us. I documented the truth. The truth? He laughed, wild and bitter. You published emails out of context. You made it look like I stole from you when all I did was try to help the family business. The patent was filed in March 2023. I said, 4 months before your first investor pitch. Timestamps don't lie. Those are coincidences. People work on similar ideas all the time. Not with identical frameworks, not with the exact terminology I used in my research notes. Behind him, Mom's voice, shrill, you've destroyed us. Ethan's voice cracked. Investors are already calling. They're pulling out. The board is. Do you understand what you've done? You've killed this company. You've killed our family. No, Ethan, I said quietly. You did that when you tried to erase me. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Mom. I answered. But before I tell you that conversation, I need you to know how I got to this point. I didn't sleep that night. By 6 a.m. on January 1st, 2026, my phone was flooded, 247 missed calls, 512 emails, thousands of notifications. I made coffee with shaking hands and started reading. From my professor, Elena, you were so brave, I'm proud of you. From my lawyer, Hartwell Medical's lawyers reached out at 2 a.m. They're threatening a lawsuit. I sent them our analysis. They have no case. From one of my co-founders, holy crap. Elena, CNBC wants us. Bloomberg too. What do we say? But there were others. A distant cousin. How could you do this to your family? An old family friend. I've known the Hartwells for decades. They're good people. You're destroying them for attention. Someone I didn't know. Family comes first. This is disgusting. I let them wash over me. Then I opened the positive ones again. A woman I'd never met. I'm a software engineer. My boss took credit for my code for years. I stayed silent. Your story gave me the courage to file a complaint. Thank you. Another. I've been hiding my startup from my family because they think it's not real work. After reading about you, I'm going public next week. You gave me permission to exist. By 10 a.m., Ethan held a press conference. I watched it live on my laptop. Coffee going cold. He stood at a podium in the Hartwell conference room. Looking terrible, rumpled suit. No tie, eyes red. Thank you for coming, he started, voice rough. My sister's allegations are baseless and hurtful. Hartwell Medical has always respected intellectual property. A journalist raised her hand. The patent was filed in March 2023. Your first investor presentation was July 2023. How do you explain the timeline? Ethan shifted. Many people work on similar ideas simultaneously. Emails show you specifically asked her for the full algorithm. Taken out of context, I was trying to collaborate. And the recording where you threatened legal action? That was made without my knowledge. The journalist leaned forward. But the content, did you threaten her? Ethan gripped the podium. This press conference is over. He walked out. Cameras kept rolling. The clip went viral within hours. CEO melts down over IP theft allegations. By 4 p.m., Hartwell Medical issued a statement. The board has voted to suspend CEO Ethan Hartwell pending independent investigation. Signed by the board chair, not my father. Not my mother. Someone independent. I sat back on the couch, letting it sink in. Ethan was suspended. Not fired, not yet, but removed from power. My phone buzzed. An email from a board member I'd never met. Miss Hartwell, we regret any harm caused. We'd like to meet with you and your counsel to understand the full scope. I forwarded it to my lawyer. He called back in 5 minutes. This is good, Elena. They're distancing themselves from Ethan to protect the company. The fallout kept coming. Stock dropped 25% in a day. Major partners started pulling back. Employees posted on Glassdoor, terrified we're going to lose our jobs because of the CEO's mistakes. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty. Like I'd won something I never wanted to fight for. January 2nd, 2026. My father called. I stared at his name on the screen for 3 rings before I answered. Elena, his voice sounded older, tired. Can we talk? Really talk? I waited. I owe you an apology. He said, I knew something wasn't right with Ethan's presentations. I suspected the technology was yours. And I said nothing. Why? Because I'm a coward. Because your mother was so proud of Ethan. Because the company was struggling. And I thought if we just got through this quarter, you'd understand. I wasn't okay, Dad. I know. God. Elena, I know. I let you be erased. I let them push you out. I let your mother disinvite you from Christmas and New Year's. He broke off. When he spoke again, he was crying. You're my daughter. I should have protected you. I failed you, and I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes, tears on my own face. An apology doesn't undo it, I said quietly. It doesn't give me back the years I spent thinking I wasn't good enough. I know it doesn't, but I needed you to hear it. I'm proud of you. I've always been proud. I just didn't know how to say it. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said, but I'm glad you called. That's more than I deserve. We hung up. I sat on the couch and cried, not from sadness, but because something heavy inside me had finally loosened. Just a little. By February 2026, I was invited to keynote at the Women in Tech Summit in Boston. 1,200 women in the audience. I walked on stage in a simple black dress. Lights bright, faces in shadows. I told them everything. How I'd been told I made people uncomfortable. How I'd tried to shrink. To be less. To disappear so no one felt threatened. How my family tried to take my work. And I almost let them. But then I chose integrity over silence. Not for revenge. For myself. To every woman here who's been told to take up less space, your work matters. Your voice matters. No one, not even family, has the right to erase you. The room stood. Applause that felt like a wave. For the first time in years, I felt seen. March 2026, I moved to San Francisco. Quantum Pulse's office was in the Mission District, bright, open, whiteboards everywhere, a team that valued ideas over hierarchy. I found a small apartment near Dolores Park. 1 bedroom, bay windows, old hardwood floors. I unpacked slowly, the framed patent certificate, photos with my co-founders at the IPO celebration, a candid from the summit. No photos of my family. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And I didn't feel guilty about it. June 2026, we announced a partnership with Johns Hopkins Hospital. A $50 million contract to implement our platform across their network. Early detection for pancreatic cancer, lung disease, neurological conditions. The kind of work that saves lives. A journalist asked, how does it feel to see your work recognized at this scale? I thought about that night alone in my apartment, watching fireworks while my family celebrated without me. It feels like justice, I said, not revenge, justice. And on New Year's Eve 2026, 1 year later, I wasn't alone. My team came over, 10 of us crowded into my living room, takeout on the coffee table, laughing about old sci-fi movies. At midnight, we counted down together, fireworks outside, champagne popping. I stood at the window, glass in hand, and thought about the year before. About sitting in silence, feeling invisible. I wasn't invisible anymore. This was my family now, the one I chose. So here we are. 1 year later, almost to the day. I didn't lose my family. They lost me. When they chose reputation over relationship. When they decided my work didn't matter. When they tried to erase me rather than celebrate me. And yes, it was worth it. Because the alternative was disappearing. I spent 28 years trying to fit into a frame that was never built for me. Trying to be quieter, smaller, less. Trying to make other people comfortable at the cost of my own existence. I'm done with that. If you're sitting on work you're afraid to claim, document it. Protect it. File the patents. Save the emails. Record the meetings if you can. Build a paper trail that speaks for itself. If you're being told you're too much or not enough, find people who see you. They're out there, I promise. And if you have to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your integrity, choose integrity. Every single time. Because your voice matters, your work matters, and you deserve to exist fully, loudly, unapologetically. This is my story. What's yours? If this meant something to you, if you've ever had to stand up for your truth, even when it hurt, drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because there are so many more stories like this out there. And we're all still learning how to stop shrinking. Thank you for listening. And remember, you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to be free.